It's the winner takes it all, with India and New Zealand coming face to face in the final of the inaugural World Test Championship. Test cricket will be their first champion, and Team India has a stellar run in which they have lost just one series, and victories like one in Australia gave it ample confidence. This team can crown itself as the first World Test champion.
The 144-year-old history of Test cricket is about to change. The most sacred form of the game is looking for its rightful king. Virat Kohli and his men will be up against Kane Williamson's New Zealand in the title showdown of the inaugural World Test Championship. Despite the changes in the format, India have earned their place in the final fair and square. Team India won 5 of their 6 series, including 2 overseas, in the World Test Championship cycle, and interestingly, their only series loss came against New Zealand, where they lost 0-2. India's bowling attack looks as potent as any other, and the presence of 2 world-class spinners in Ashwin and Jadeja only adds more teeth to their resources.
This is a strong case because both Jadeja and Ashwin can bat. They can build serious partnerships down the order. So, and when people talk about spinners not getting enough assistance in England, I feel they get different kind of assistance which you possibly don't get as much in India. Now, people only talk about the surface, but nobody talks about what happens in the air.
For Virat Kohli as captain, a victory in Southampton could finally end his long wait for an ICC title, having led India in 2 ICC competitions. Batting could eventually decide the result of the final. Virat, Rahane and Pujara have the experience of these English conditions, but the openers may have to set the tone for them.
I feel that there's a lot more experience and class in this Indian batting lineup. Whereas with New Zealand, yes, they've got exciting young opener in the form of Conway, who has done well against England in the ongoing Test series. There's experienced Ross Taylor, Latham, and then Kane Williamson. But if you see the amount of experience, the talent, the exuberance the Indian batting lineup possesses, so I believe that whichever batting lineup scores big, above par total in the first innings, will hold the edge.
Rohit Sharma will be opening in England for the first time, while Shubman Gill just has 7 tests under his belt. India have not had any practice game ahead of the final, while New Zealand have got themselves conditioned well with a 2-test series against England. The Black Caps will pose a serious challenge, but this Indian team knows how to change perception and convert opportunities into success. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Does the rest.
Okay, so you've now seen, the preview of how Indian team, what to expect in the match tomorrow. But very quickly, just to give you quick information and what we think, our SWOT analysis for the strengths and weaknesses as far as Team India and Team New Zealand is concerned. So the World Test Championship, the match is going to be taking place tomorrow, that is June 18, 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time is when it is going to start. The venue is in Southampton. This is going to be the venue of the match. Now, let's talk about India's strength going into this match. What is Team India's strength as far as this match is concerned? Now, India has quality spin bowlers, all-rounders who have experience in the English conditions. That is going to be something that India would be banking on. One of the best pace attacks for India in a long time, and of course at this point of time arguably the best pace attack in the world. That is going to be India's bowling attack. That is going to be a big strength for India. Indian batting also bats deep. There are players, those who can bat right till the end, and these are going to be the key advantages as far as India is concerned. But there are certain weaknesses as well, or let's just say some chinks in the armor as far as the Indian team is concerned. The average record in England, in India, that has not had a great record on the English soil. Countering the moving ball, the traditional swing ball in the overcast conditions is something that India will have to watch out for. Lack of match practice going into this big game. Remember, the IPL was suspended. Players have been in a bio bubble. Most of them gone back home, spending time with their families. So they are straight away thrown into a pressure match. As far as fast bowling all-rounder is concerned, that is also going to be a key concern. There is no Hardik Pandya, who is a pacer as well as a batsman who can bat very, very well and also right at the end. Now, let's talk about New Zealand. They are right now in familiar conditions. They have played a test series in England against England. They have variety of fast bowling options. Experienced middle order also gives a lot of strength to the New Zealand batting as well. Now, for the New Zealand, certain key weaknesses are inexperienced spin attack, because here at this Southampton Stadium, in the later half, in the last 2 days possibly, there is good advantage as far as the spin department is concerned. That is something that New Zealand is going to, possibly the inexperience is going to play an important role. Williamson's record in England is also a worry, and ability to counter quality Indian spin bowlers is something that Team New Zealand will also have to, in fact, battle. Now, today it was a big day for here on India. 15 champions, 11 champions, I beg your pardon. Captains, players, those who have played in pressure conditions, big names of the world cricket, today were on India Today. And hours ahead of this battle, cricket legends on India Today gave their opinion about what they think and who they think is their favourite. Take a look.
देखिए, ये टीम में भी एक्सपीरियंस है काफ़ी, और मैं समझता हूँ कि इन्हें कोई एडवाइस की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं, उनको पता है एग्जैक्टली क्या करना है. Forget about the last step, let's think about the next step. We can't change the last step. Whatever we've done so far, no one can change that. But whatever we are about to do, we can be measured and we understand what are the areas we need to, be very off and look at those red flags around the corner, and yet allow our natural instincts to take over and forget about what has happened in the past. Okay, this is the best that we could have got, and we've done that. All these guys have played in England, so it's not that the team is touring England for the first time. Most of the guys have played either Test cricket or India matches. So it's not that anyone is touring England for the first time. So we understand these conditions. It's all about eventually boiling down to playing good quality cricket. In all three departments, we'll have to do well. We'll have to outclass.
India has been very consistent throughout the World Test Championship cycle, and so has been New Zealand. So it's going to be an exciting test match. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a very, very exciting final. And this is the all-important final. So they have to start well. They don't have an opportunity to come back in the series, because this is a one-off match, important finals. So I think being switched on and starting well will be very critical, because the amount of talent, the amount of quality the Indian team has, in both the departments, I think they have an edge.
This is one of the real benefits of how dominant Indian cricket has been over the last little while, is that, but I think in the last 20 years, this would have to be close to their best seam bowling lineup, and balanced out nicely with the spin options of obviously Ashwin and Jadeja as well. So I think it's probably the most rounded bowling lineup, and is probably the best bowling lineup that can travel to all conditions and to be able to and put the opposition under under pressure.
This World Test Championship final is a very, very important match, and it gives India the opportunity to be the first ever champions. I can promise you, once the Indian team get on the park, it's a World Test Championship final, they will come all guns blazing.
भारत को बल्लेबाजी अच्छी करनी पड़ेगी. देखिए ये कंडीशंस अलग हैं, ये कंडीशंस भारत से अलग है, ये कंडीशंस ऑस्ट्रेलिया से अलग है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पूरा दिन ड्यूक्स बॉल स्विंग होगा, सीम होगा. तो मैं समझता हूँ बल्लेबाजी भारत के लिए बहुत क्रूशियल होगा इन कंडीशंस में. ओवरहेड कंडीशंस का ख्याल रखना बहुत ज़रूरी होगा, लेकिन इस माइंडसेट पे जाना ज़रूरी है कि इंग्लैंड में स्विंग होंगे और आपको स्विंग और सीम को मुकाबला करना है.
देखिए, दिल से खेले और जाके लड़े. बस क्योंकि आप दिल से खेलेंगे तो फिर आप अच्छा खेलेंगे. अगर आप जाकर लड़ेंगे तो जो भी परिस्थिति हो, जहां पे आपको लगता है कि शायद इससे निकलना मुश्किल होगा, पर आप लड़ेंगे तो आप जीत हासिल कर सकते हैं. 1983 की जो टीम थी, जिस फाइनल में वेस्ट इंडीज के खिलाफ जो 183 रन कर पाई थी, तो जिस तरह से उन्होंने दिल लगाकर खेले थे वो और लड़े थे, क्योंकि जाने के पहले फील्डिंग जाने के पहले उस वक्त फील्डिंग जाने के पहले हमने कहा था कि चलो जवानों जाकर लड़ते हैं, और जिस तरह से पूरी टीम ने उस टाइम लड़त दी थी, तो अगर उसी तरह से खेलेंगे तो जीत तो जरूर भारतीय टीम की.
I just back them purely on talent, and of course the kind of result they have got in recent past. They have gone to Australia, they won the series there. They have played back here in India. They have done really well against the champion sides, and this is what is Team India is all about. They don't really worry about whether they're playing in England or in Australia or in New Zealand. They just go out and do what they know. That's the reason I back Team India, and I think they've got tremendous side. All they need to do is just make sure start is very, very important, whether they bowl first or bat first.
It's the ultimate. We've played 2.5 years during a pandemic as well to compete in this inaugural World Test Championship, and it means a lot to the country, because if you win it, you're the best Test match team country in the world over that period of time, and I think that's where it says it all.
What a big boost it would be. Imagine India lifting the inaugural World Test Championship at a time when the entire country has been battered by COVID-19. There has been only news of gloom and doom all around. At least there will be something to cheer about, something to look forward to, something to smile collectively as a country, something to be proud about. Now, India versus New Zealand, the World Test Championship Final, is touted as the match of the year for all cricket enthusiasts around the globe. Ahead of the match, let's take a look at how Team India and Team New Zealand, what were they doing in the run-up to the match? Take a look at this report. It's the mother of all test matches. India faced New Zealand in a contest for long format cricket's biggest prize. The big test comes after a period of trials and tribulations for the Indian cricketers. The second wave of the pandemic abruptly halted the Indian Premier League. Players retreated to the isolation of their homes. The fight against the virus took over the slugfest over the 22-yard pitch. Virat Kohli set aside strategizing on cricket to raise crores to help India's fight against COVID-19.
We thank you for your invaluable contribution. Our keto campaign has now come to an end.
We have surpassed our target thanks to you, and all the funds will be going to ACT grants who are working tirelessly for COVID relief in our country.
Your contribution will help our country fight the pandemic.
The Indian captain, of course, did not give up on his rigorous training schedule. Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane and Ashwin used the gap to spend quality time with their families. Rishabh Pant, the star of India's campaign in Australia, went all out to get fitter for the ultimate test in England. From the safety of their homes in various parts of India, the team is together again, training for the big challenge ahead of Southampton. The return to competitive cricket after a forced break is not always an easy one, particularly if your opponent is a certain New Zealand, which has had the advantage of a series against England much before the Indian side landed on the English soil. Bureau Report, India Today. Can't wait. All right. Boria Mazumdar, our consulting sports editor, is now joining us, on the broadcast for more on this match. Boria, everybody is excited, waiting at the time when it has been so tough on everybody. This is sort of a silver lining that is coming through. We just, fixated on 3 p.m. tomorrow. We just want to get this contest going. 3 things that you are looking forward to. 3 things that you think will be the most key, crucial aspect in the final match.
I will give you 2 which are game related and 1 which is off the field. The off the field first, taking off from what you just said. Test cricket will have a context that it has not had. So far, Test cricket has been like classical music, which people said did not have popular appeal. Players and purists said, but not the masses. Now, 1 billion plus eyeballs fixated on the 3 p.m. start, like you said. Absolutely, sponsors, advertisers, everybody will queue up. So the financial nerve center of the world game, which is us in India, all of us will queue up behind Test match cricket. ICC and the long form format will have a context that it has never had. So from the perspective of the game itself, cricket as a game will be richer because this is one of the most important Test matches ever played. Number 2, as far as India is concerned, the one key challenge is, will the batting stand up against Bolt, Saudi, Jamieson, and whoever the 4th pacer is? Because that's what the challenge is. We have the bowling to take 20 New Zealand wickets. We will. With the 3 fast bowlers and the 2 spinners, we will. But whether we have the batting to be able to stand up, that's what will decide the contest. If we are able to blunt off the new ball, allow the middle order to get in, Pujara, Kohli, and then of course the X factor in Pant and others, Rahane, then we are in for a contest. And you must be prepared, like Clive Lloyd keeps telling me, bat ugly, look ugly, because that's what Test match cricket is all about. Get hit on the body, get missed, miss a ball, but focus back again. And third point, Ankit, is the tail. People are not talking about it. New Zealand's tail always bats better than us. And if you take the New Zealand series also in New Zealand, that's where the game was lost. We get the top order out and then we struggle. So the numbers 8, 9, 10, 11, how important are they going into this contest? Like you said, I can't wait for the action to begin, but I would want one winner, because it cannot be joint winners. Novak Djokovic and Tsitsipas winning the French does not do justice. You have to have a winner in a particular final.
Absolutely. Boria, while Team India, do you think it's a disadvantage that just going into the match practice angle that a lot of people are talking about, the IPL was suspended, our players were in a bio bubble, most of them with their families. The match practice, being in that mental zone, is that going to be a key difference or a key factor in this Test match as well?
See, you can say it's a bit of a disadvantage, but on the 23rd, if you go and tell Virat Kohli, we lost because New Zealand had 2 Test matches, is that what you will say? Or you will say New Zealand beat us? The fact of the matter is, when the 2 captains go out there for the toss, Ankit, all this build-up, New Zealand has this little advantage, India doesn't, is out of the window. That's all nonsense. Now, if someone says that the Chinese have an advantage, and they do, unfair advantage going into the Olympics because they controlled COVID and the world was left to sort of feel for it, then will we say that we could not beat China because of COVID? No, we will not. We want to beat China because of that for more reason. So you beat New Zealand. You do not think about all these things. When Novak was down 2-love against Tsitsipas, what did he do? He dug in. His resilience, his physicality, his mentality, all of that came to the fore, and that's what Virat Kohli does. Virat Kohli aspires to be the strongest mentally and physically in the world of sport. And Rishabh Pant says, ball there to be hit, I'll hit it. Ravichandran Ashwin, Gail, Jasprit Bumrah, class, Mohammad Shami, swing, Ajinkya Rahane, Cheteshwar Pujara, experience, Rohit Sharma, fear of failure, gone. This is the Indian team I'm going to back.
Indian team that Boria is going to back, and the entire nation would be hoping that they lift, in fact, this inaugural Test Final Cup. And that would be, ladies and gentlemen, at least at this point of time, would be such a balm. Nothing to, in fact, nothing at the time of such suffering that we have seen so far. Boria, Virat Kohli is just going to address a press conference, and before he comes on and we cut across to it, I just very quickly want to also ask you, I was reading somewhere that, one problem for India, Hardik Pandya is not there, a quality pacer who is also a good batsman, an all-rounder fast bowler is going to be something that possibly India would be missing?
That's the glass half empty. I don't look at the glass half empty. I look at the glass half full. Ravindra Jadeja is fit and he's a quality all-rounder. Watch that Sachin Tendulkar interview with me and he says, if you think only fast bowlers will do the job in England, wrong. The spinners, because of the dip and drift, will also do the job. Ravindra Jadeja, class all-rounder. Rishabh Pant, true all-rounder. This Indian team has two top quality all-rounders in Pant and Jadeja. Even Ashwin will do that job as a batter. You know, Ankit, don't look at what you don't have. Forget about all of that. Now, I want a Kapil Dev kind of all-rounder. Not going to happen. It doesn't happen. What you do have is a world-class side which has led the world rankings, the Mace with them 5 years, the world's greatest batsman, one of the world's best white ball players in Rohit wants to prove it in red ball, and you perhaps got the best ever bowling attack in India's history. I think it is the best bowling attack in terms of overall ability and balance. I think we've got the team. Do we have it mentally? Yes, we do. We've got it all there. Now it's time out there to go out and prove it.
What combination, I mean, for New Zealand, do you think inexperienced spinners, that is going to be a disadvantage? Because as you were saying, it's just not about fast bowlers in England. This pitch in Southampton in the later part of the game is expected to offer some help to the spinners as well. Will that be a problem as far as New Zealand is concerned and advantage India?
If India bats well, yes. If India does bat well and get a score on the board, then New Zealand will struggle. Make no mistake, New Zealand will struggle. Because Ajaz Patel will not pose any threat whatsoever. Ravi Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, quality spinners. And we all know that. It is about batting big, batting first. The first innings, if India bats well in the first innings, India has the momentum. So it will depend on the top order and also the middle order and the all-rounders. So New Zealand, they will play to their strengths. They'll go in with Bolt and Saudi and Jamieson and maybe even Wagner. So they'll go in with 4 or even Matt Henry, who was very good against England. So they will back their strengths. So that's my point, Ankit, but I'm backing India, fingers crossed.
Okay, Boria, let's very quickly go across to Virat Kohli. He is speaking just ahead of, in fact, this test match final. Listen.
The opponents. So how difficult is it to carry on with that brand of game with a set of players who are being known, reputed to be the nice guys of cricket?
Well, we do play a certain brand of cricket ourselves, and I really don't understand this. You know, this term that you just used. I don't think any other team has bad guys in their team. So it's something that we are not thinking about. For us, it is a team that we're playing against, an opposition that we will be squaring up against, as you mentioned, which has got a lot of quality players. But you know, the other stuff which is off the field does not filter in on the field. On the field, we're very professional. We know exactly how we're going to play and what we need to do on the field. Yes, we get along very well off the field, but you know, when you step across the line, then it's business at the end of the day, and you need to deal with it accordingly. And you know, it's pretty serious stuff out there. It's not something that you know is fun and games and you know is played in a very low voltage environment. Obviously, there's you know this is a huge game. There's a huge test match, and we are certainly looking forward to the opportunity that we've been waiting for a few years now. And you know, in Test cricket, we've performed really well, and deservingly we step onto the field tomorrow to play the brand of cricket, as I mentioned, that we've played in the last few years.
Hi Virat, can you hear me?
Yeah, volume.
Okay.
Can you just increase it?
Can you hear me now?
Just a second, we're just increasing the.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Virat, we've been hearing that until a couple of days ago, it was boiling hot in Southampton, but the weather forecast that we are looking from here says that it's going to be rain and thunderstorm. So this obviously complicates all the team selection and team combination, whether to play 1 spinner, 2 spinner, 4 bowlers. So what are your thoughts on it? How does it look there?
No, it does not change anything from our point of view as a team. For us, it's about covering all bases and making sure that we take the strongest side we can on the park, which gives us batting depth and gives us enough bowling options as well. So
we are quite clear in terms of what we want to do. Forecast is something that we're not focused on. We're not going to think too much about what might change. Regardless of what we do, we have our bases covered, and we know that very well. So, yeah, we're not bothered about what the weather holds, and do we need to change the outlook of the team altogether? No. Obviously, how you approach the game and the decisions that you make day to day, they obviously alter when the conditions are different, but not your whole team altogether.
Yeah, hi Virat, Sandeep here from ABP News Network. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, Virat, India team was defeated last year by this New Zealand side, but since then India have defeated Australia, teams like Australia, England. So do you think that this Indian team has become stronger both psychologically and with skill?
Well, we lost on a given day. This is not one-day cricket, and this is not a T20 game that finishes in a few hours. This is a hard grind over a period of 5 days, something that we take a lot of pride in, and a great example of what you saw in Australia with, the younger lot of our players stood up against a very experienced and a very strong Australian side and beat them in their backyard. So we understand the kind of cricket that we have played to get here in the finals, and we understand what we are as a team and who we really are as a group of players. As I said, we're just very excited to get onto the field tomorrow and start this test match.
Since
Hi, Virat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Virat, my question here is that you spoke about that you want to select a team where all the bases are covered with enough batting depth. So does that mean it is a case of a choice between Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Siraj for the third pacer slot? If we consider that Ashwin and Jadeja are both very capable all-rounders who have a chance of both being in the playing 11?
That question has no relevance to batting depth. For me, it doesn't make sense at all, and we will explain or announce the team straight after the press conference anyway.
Hi Virat, Vishesh here. Best of luck for the finals. I just wanted to ask, we have seen how great mutual respect is there between you and Kane Williamson. So how great it is to play against the opponent you really admire, and you would be playing in the format that you both have said that is the real test of a player.
Well, yeah, me and Kane have become friends over the last few years, playing against each other quite a bit and having conversation off the field as well. But as I mentioned before, when you step across that line, you're professionals at the end of the day. You want to get him out as early as possible, like all the other batsmen in the New Zealand team, and they would want to do the same to us. So I think the camaraderie and the understanding and the bonding that we have as players from different countries playing the same sport mostly happens off the field. On the field, it's very professional. As I said, we're looking at them as opponents that we wanna beat, hopefully, in this test match. And that's all to it. Apart from that, we do stay in touch. We do communicate a bit. And when we see each other, it's always a nice kind of mutual vibe that we have, where there's respect for each other and there's understanding of who we are as people as well.
Virat. Virat, considering how vocal you've been all these years about your preference for Test cricket, of course, you've been part of a World Cup winning team in 2011. Is this your biggest match as far as cricket is concerned? Firstly, Test cricket, and because you are also the captain of this team.
No, for me, this is another Test match that has to be played. I think these things are very exciting from the outside, where there's so much importance and so much, other extra stuff that's attached to one game, and it sort of becomes do and die. And for us as a team, we have been on a quest for excellence for a while now, and we are going to continue to be on that path, regardless of what happens in this game. And we totally understand, as I said, who we are as a team and the kind of cricket that we played. So we have no doubts whatsoever on our abilities and what we can do as a side. As an individual player, look, we won the 2011 World Cup, which is a great moment for all of us. But cricket goes on, just the way life goes on. And you have to treat failure and success the same way, and you have to treat the so-called outstandingly big moments pretty similar to the other moments as well. You can't pick and choose and be in a space where you prioritize something and you don't. So yes, it is an occasion that has to be enjoyed from our point of view. But it is no different for us, or no more important for us than the first Test match that we played all together as a young group of players back in the day when we were trying to come up the ranks. So mindset remains the same.
Yeah. Hi, Virat. Neeru here. Just wanted to ask, I know the New Zealand series that we played in New Zealand were different conditions, yes. But overall, what were the key lessons that you would keep in mind going into this Test match tomorrow against New Zealand from that series?
The only lesson that we learned was have belief in our abilities and just focus on what we can do as a side. As I said, when you start looking at too many factors and too many things on the outside, then you confuse yourself. And we're absolutely focused on what we can do as a team, as I mentioned, and we can't wait to get on the park for this one, to play great cricket over a period of 5 days, regardless of who we are playing against. For us, it's a contest between bat and ball. The game is pretty simple, and we are going to keep the game very simple, but play with the intensity and the passion that we played over the years. And played some amazing Test cricket.
Now, New Zealand have long been tagged as the underdogs before every big match or tournament, yet they continue to punch well above their weight. In fact, many would say they are the favourites to lift the World Test Championship crown, considering how they beat England in their own den recently, a series win that came after 22 years. The Kiwis surely are going to be no pushovers.
New Zealand have long been called the dark horses before every major ICC tournament.
Trent Bolt, Grant Elliott.
The Kiwis have been patronised time and again, and yet they reached the ODI World Cup final in 2015 and only lost the super over in the 2019 ODI World Cup final.
The keeper's in. He's got it. England have won the World Cup by the barest of margins.
This time they are in the final of the World Test Championship. Dark horses or heavyweights? You decide. Calm, composed and led by probably the nicest man in cricket right now, Kane Williamson. They let their cricket do the talking. 4 years ago, they were ranked 5th in Tests, and today they are the #1 Test side in the world. However, some might call them lucky, considering they've not managed to win a single series away from home during this World Test Championship cycle. Their bowling, though, is still world-class, one Indians need to be wary of. Their swing prowess can seriously dent Indian hopes like they did at the 2019 ODI World Cup semi-final. The fact that they just beat England in their own den puts them on an even bigger pedestal. Virat Kohli and his men have battled long and hard to reach here, but with conditions favouring the Kiwis, this will be a challenge like none other. Can India overcome the threat posed by Kane Williamson and company? Only time will tell. Sports Bureau, India Today.
All right, as promised, joining me now is former India captain, cricket great Sunil Gavaskar, who is with us this evening. Harbhajan Singh, former Test cricketer, India, is also with us at this moment. We also have Boria Mazumdar. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Mr. Gavaskar, I would like to come to you first and ask you, what combination would you want to see for India? Very soon the team is going to be announced. It's a very, very important test match tomorrow. What kind of a combination would you want to see given the overcast conditions which have now been predicted?
Yes, I think till about 4 days ago, it was, scorching hot over here. And one was thinking, yes, two spinners should be playing. But looking at the overcast conditions since yesterday in the evening and now again overcast, and I'm at the ground, as you can see, I'm at the ground. It does look that India might look to go in with 4 seamers and 1 spinner. That is what I think India will probably do. Though I think if the sun does come out, if the weather forecast is good, then on days 3, 4 and 5, 2 spinners will certainly come in handy. So it's going to be a tricky call for the Indian Tour Selection Committee. What the 2 spinners do is they give you depth in your batting as well. Ashwin and Jadeja at 7 and 8 give you depth in the batting as well. So it's going to be a tricky call, but clearly I think tomorrow morning, how the weather is, that is going to be the decider whether 2 spinners play or only 1 spinner plays.
Baji, the very important thing would be how India starts. Who wins the toss? And then, of course, Boria was just telling us earlier that it would be very important for India to post a big total on, in fact, in the beginning. And then, of course, the spinners would come into play. What would be your, ideal combination for India to go in the final test match?
Well, I was just hearing what Sunny Bhai was saying. Since he's in the ground, he knows the conditions and, of course, the pitch as well, how it is like. And by looking at it, now what I heard from him, that it seems like, Team India is looking to play maybe 4-seamer, but I think that will be a bit too much on any sort of wicket. Playing 4-seamer and 1 spinner, that'll make the batting looks very short. So my combination would be playing with still 2 spinners and 3 fast bowler, because both the spinners can bat as well as any of the batters. So that would be my combination. And Sunny Bhai can tell you more about the conditions, how it's going to play. But yes, no matter whether India win the toss or lose the toss, whether we are bowling first or batting first, we need to start well, because it's a big game. We heard Virat Kohli saying we don't have any pressure, we are not feeling any pressure. But of course, when the game starts, everyone feels pressure, and it's a big game and a lot of expectations are there. Yes, they are not bothered about what the outside world is talking about, but yes, as a player I can tell you there are always nerves before you get into any game, and it's a big game. And I hope India will start well, whether they bat first or bowl first. We have to start well, simple as that.
Mr. Gavaskar, just a word about Devon Conway, about the New Zealand team. A young man playing his first test series, man of the match, in fact, educated man of the series, for a matter of fact. How big a threat is he going to be as far as Team India is concerned? And who are the other key players that you think are, the most to be watch out for Team India in that New Zealand lineup?
Well, in the batting lineup, of course, Devon Conway, the debut that he's made, in fact, the debuts that he's made in all 3 formats of the game have been nothing short of sensational. So to get a double 100 on your debut is something very rare. He's a left-hander to boot, so that makes it a little more difficult also for the Indian bowlers. Then of course, Kane Williamson, who's amongst the greatest batsmen that the cricketing world has seen. And there's Ross Taylor's experience as well. And I think it's in the bowling department, you've got to be a bit concerned about Trent Boult, Tim Southee, and Neil Wagner. So these 3, it's a formidable opponent, New Zealand. They've always been under the radar. People, they don't seem to have too many glamorous players, if I might use the word glamorous. And that's why maybe they go under the radar. But they are a very, very competitive side. And it's not going to be easy for India.
Competitive, it's not going to be easy for India. And we also, in fact, know how New Zealand, in fact, played against India in the 2019 World Cup. Baji, going into the combination for New Zealand, the biggest worry, as I was earlier discussing with Boria as well, is the spin bowling. It's just not about the pace attack in England to the later half of the match. The spinners would also come into a very important role. They will play a very important role. What about the New Zealand side? What combination, or possibly, is their biggest worry going to be lack of experienced spin bowlers?
Well, I don't think they anyways rely too much of their spin bowling. They rely a lot on their seamers. Since they play in New Zealand and they have been playing in England last 2 games, they have played there, and Tim Southee and the other bowlers, they have done really well for them. And I think they will mostly rely on their seamers more, and spinners, they just use them as someone who can just hold one end and get 1 or 2 wickets, or maybe give some rest to the fast bowlers. So New Zealand's game plan would be very simple, attack with the seam bowling, and these conditions, if Tim Southee can swing the ball, we know that he's one of those very, very good bowler, and he hit that length. You have to play every ball. So he's going to be a very, very important factor from New Zealand's point of view. If he can swing the ball in these conditions, he'll be a very, very handy for New Zealand. So we have to be watchful against him.
Mr. Gavaskar, a word about the 2 captains, those who are leading this side. A very, very different style of captaincy. One is seen as more aggressive. The other one is seen as, as our story was also, telling our viewers, one of the nicest gentlemen in the gentleman's game right now in world cricket. A word about both these captains and what kind of a huge occasion it would be for them to lead their sides.
It is a huge occasion because it's the first time ever that there's a World Test Championship being played. So it is a huge occasion. And clearly, I think as far as captains are concerned, when a captain performs well, whether he's a batsman or a bowler, he performs well, he leads the team with that much more confidence. He makes bowling changes with that much more confidence. The field placing is that much more confident. Because he's done well himself, the confidence reflects in his moves as a captain. So it's very important for both Virat Kohli as well as Kane Williamson to score runs for their team. And if they do that, then obviously they lead that much better. But it is, again, even Stevens, this is, both these teams are well matched. I just get the feeling that India have far more impact players than New Zealand has. Yes, New Zealand has had the advantage of having played 2 test matches here, but India are match fresh. India are match hungry. India want to get into action after about a month and a half of no activity at all because of the suspension of the IPL. And I do believe that energy, that impact will make a difference in this game.
It will be a very, very interesting contest, to say the least. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And remember, India Today is your destination for all the match analysis and the important, in fact, voices to tell you exactly what is going to happen and all the predictions here on the World Cup, the World Test Championship Final, which is going to take place tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mr. Gavaskar, Harbhajan Singh and Boria Mazumdar, for joining us on the broadcast. That's all the time that we have in this edition. On the other side, the 7 top stories of the day with my colleague Preeti Chaudhary. Thank you so much for being with us.